Hello and welcome to the Real Gary Tussey Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that could ever amount to anything or everything to anybody and everybody who ever intends to amount to something. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to this edition of Real Gary Tussey Podcast. We are thrilled to be with you. The day we're recording this podcast is a Friday, and of course we have our live feed in the studio with us. We are live over Facebook, and I appreciate everyone who's nominated Real Gary Tussey as the most interesting man on Facebook Live at the 5 a.m. hour, 5 days a week. Thank you. Golf clap, golf clap, golf clap. Unlike yesterday, I'm a bit more rested. Instead of 3 hours sleep, I got 4. And so I am blasting. I am out the gate, raring to go. Every day, I'm grateful, thankful for someone or something. Well, it's never something, but something that is usually provided by someone who is special in my life. And today, as you may have mentioned on podcasts past, I get a little, we got to be happy. We talk about it all the time. You gotta be happy. And, to be happy is a condition that is created by your surroundings. By happenings is what causes happiness. For instance, you cannot kiss a girl leaning away from you. You cannot climb a fence leaning towards you. These are things that make you unhappy. You cannot, roller skate in a cow pasture. You cannot ride a bicycle in a buffalo herd, but you can be happy if you choose to. And the founding fathers thought that was so important that it's even written in our founding documents. So we're going to push that narrative and we're going to make it real because we apply a high energy pursuit to happiness right here on Real Gary Tussey Live. So I mentioned I'm not real happy that after a few minutes my coffee is cold because a warm drink helps keep the voice to do what it is ordained from on high to do. So a good warm drink helps to do that. So I start with a warm drink in my We the People cup, and after a few moments, it's not warm anymore. So I said, anyone who will send me one of those handy dandy cup warmers, I'm going to mention you every day on the podcast and every day on the live. And maybe you thought I was kidding because I only got one. So this is the one I got. And so this is now my Buddy Causey coffee cup warmer, of the which is the host for my We the People coffee cup every day. So Buddy Causey, thank you, brother. And Buddy, if you prefer that I mention this is real. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. I'm real. Every day, this will be called the Buddy Causey Coffee Cup Warmer right here live on Real Gary Tussey. Unless, Buddy, you want me to name it after your business. So you'll have to either private message me or shout out here and we'll get her done. We talked about yesterday, and thanks with a little help from my friends, man, on yesterday's recording of the podcast, which was last week's podcast, was the first one that I ever did. And we're going to mark that when it was episode number 58 as one where it's going to be entitled No Filter. I had no filter. I was exhausted. But I told Julia that perhaps I should be more exhausted more often because there was no filter. And man, it made it fun for me. So here I am today with a little bit of filter because before yesterday's podcast recording of the podcast and Real Gary Tussey Live, I had 3 hours sleep. Today, I've had 4 hours. I'm raring to go. So it's going to be amazing what we get done today. Yesterday, we talked about, thank you, Randy, 50 iconic top songs, the iconic top songs that were surveyed by a computer program by entering information from resources such as VH1, Rolling Stone Magazine, Q, and another source or two that I wasn't really familiar with, but I will familiarize myself with them so we know where these sources are coming from. Information from those were entered into a, quote, computer program and came up with 50 titles that some of them I was not impressed with, and the overall list, I guess here I go filter free, the entire overall list I was not impressed with, because there was not one standard by Frank Sinatra or Bublé. There was not any classical music by Mozart or Bach or Beethoven. There was not any. 50 iconic songs of all time, and you couldn't come up with one George Jones song, one Randy Travis song, one Hank Williams song, one Merle Travis song. Are you kidding me? So we at Real Gary Tussey Live are keeping it real, and so is the posse that weighs in every morning. We had mixed somebody of music stature is asking me, was Prince in it? We'll have to go back. I don't want to run out of time here and I don't think Prince was in it. We'll pull that up later, or we'll archive that in the programs and see. Today on on the music edition of the Real Gary Tussey Podcast, we're paralleling two things, and it's going to take two podcasts to do it. And that's fine, because we record 2 in the AM hour between 5 and 6 in the morning on Real Gary Tussey Live. And we're going to look at the list of the best-selling physical singles of all time, paralleled with the top-selling digital downloads of all time, okay? You are going to be amazed at this. This is just nothing short of amazing. So here we go. I'm going to start reading this. We're going to enjoy this. Are you with me? Hang with me, posse. This is really good, especially music lovers. This article is a compendium of the best. That's not a word I use every day, so I'm sounding out the syllables. Remember how in school we learned? Does anybody remember? This might tell my age. Does anybody remember diagramming sentences? What was that about? Maybe it has helped us. Then we actually used to study language. Remember that? And we used to actually study cursive writing. Anyway, I'll try to focus here. I'm off the chain by end of the week, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I kind of enjoy being off the chain. It's free out here, and we're all about being free and setting people free. This article is a compendium of the best-selling music singles. The criteria for inclusion on this list is to have sold at least 5 million copies worldwide. The singles list here were cited by reliable sources from various media such as digital journalism, newspapers, magazines, and books. It is notable that according to Guinness World Records, White Christmas of 1942 by Bing Crosby is the best-selling single worldwide with estimated sales of over 50 million copies. The song, recognized as the best-selling single of all time, was released before the pop rock singles chart era and was listed as the world's best-selling single in the first ever Guinness Book of World Records published in 1955, and remarkably still remains the title more than 50 years later. Also, Guinness World Records states that double A-side charity single Candle in the Wind in 1997, and the flip side of that being Something About the Way You Look Tonight in 1997 by Elton John, a tribute to the late Princess Diana of Wales, is the biggest selling single since UK and US singles charts began recording in the 50s, having accumulated worldwide sales of 33 million copies. So Bing Crosby's is over 50 million. Elton John with his tribute of Candle in the Wind and Something in the Way You Look Tonight. Something About the Way You Look Tonight is at 33 million copies. That's still a pretty good sized gap, but makes Elton John's song the second best selling single of all time. The list is split between physical, mainly CD and vinyl sales, and digitally download tracks, which first became available to purchase in the early 2000s, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. So I scroll down here a little bit, and I look at the top sales, physical sales of a record or recording or a song. I'm going to list these real quick. I think you're going to appreciate this. So number one, as we mentioned, is White Christmas in 1942 in sales of excess of 50 million. Elton John, Candle in the Wind, and the flip side, Something About the Way You Look Tonight. 1997, 33 million sales. Now, this is interesting. You're going to love this. I do. Mungo Jerry. Anybody remember the artist Mungo Jerry? In the Summertime, 1970. Anybody remember that song? Man, all I have to do is say the title, In the Summertime, and I am just rushed with memories. I wish I had time. I do have time. I'm going to take it. I remember washing my father's Corvair in 1970 with my little brother. I think my mom has a picture of us wet and looking like just drowned rats. And of course, I mean, I'm only 9 in the summer of 1997, and my brother is only 7. So I don't know how much good we are washing it, but we were out there helping in our skivvies and washing that Corvair. Dad had a Corvair convertible, and it was maroon with a black top convertible. And this song would play in 1970. This song has sold over 30 million copies. And number 4 is Bing Crosby, Silent Night, who has sold over 30 million copies. Now, that was in 1935. That was a predecessor to White Christmas. So, Bill Haley in the comments, Rock Around the Clock in 1954 sold 25 million copies. Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You, sold 20 million copies in 1992. Elvis Presley, It's Now or Never, in 1960, sold over 20 million copies. USA for Africa, We Are the World, and you may remember that. If not, you can see it on YouTube. It is pretty amazing. Various pop artists at the time chimed in and recorded We Are the World in order to raise money, charity for starving and famine in Ethiopia. We Are the World, 1985, sold over 20 million copies. The Ink Spots, If I Didn't Care, in 1939, sold over 19 million copies. Baccara, help me with this one. I do not recall this song or the artist at all. Yes, Sir, I Can Boogie, in 1977. I might remember that. Well, I know I will remember it when I hear it. I'll be Googling. This is so fun for me to do a little bit of research. I do it early in the morning, so it's fresh before I start at 5 o'clock. Then I follow up on this after we make it news for the entire globe to hear here on Real Gary Tussey. So Baccara, which I do not recall, and the title of the song I do not recall, in 1977 was Yes, Sir, I Can Boogie. 1977 sold over 18 million copies. Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, 1997 sold over 18 million copies. People were buying records in 1997 still. So Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. You know, Christmas songs really make a showing on these lists, don't they? All I Want for Christmas Is You, 1994 by Mariah Carey, 16 million. Bryan Adams, Everything I Do, I Do It For You, 1991, over 15 million. Now this one's unbelievable. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. I had to stop myself from saying Olivia Neutron Bomb. Don't throw anything at me. You're the One That I Want, in 1978, sold over 15 million copies. We're out of time on today's podcast. Live and let live. Be free and set others free. And apply a high energy pursuit for happiness today. Tussey out.